Thank you. They made me get up here. Everybody else got to stand down there. By the way, Michelle is one of my students, and what happened was, this past year, I gave them an extra credit assignment, history class. I teach U.S. history at Freedom Baptist, as he said. And I gave them a short line, a couple of lines to memorize for extra credit. Well, she came back the next day and said, Mr. Davis, I'm ready to quote my lines. And she started off at the beginning and kept going. In one night, she memorized like the first 2 paragraphs, and it was pretty powerful. So I thought, why not have her up here? Didn't she do a great job?
Yeah.
Pretty proud of her. Now, just so you know, this is not my thing. I'm not a rah-rah kind of guy. I've been pretty nervous about this, but oh well, I think it's important, so I agreed to do it. Now, the other day, I was at a graduation open house, and I sat down and across the table and had a conversation with a homeschool family, mom and dad, and so I try to bring the subject up, you know, the tea parties and what's happening in our government. I mean, it's just what I teach, and so we had a conversation, and the father, the husband, said, yeah, but, you know, speaking of the Tea Party movement and this whole protesting against the government, he says, yeah, but what about the Bible? What about, you know, Romans 13 and, you know, submission to authority, and, you know, in 1 Peter he says to submit ourselves to every ordinance of man. Aren't Christians just supposed to take it? And I'm glad he brought that up, and I would like to, in case anybody else here might be thinking along those lines and might be like holding back from getting involved, because, you know, to be honest, this is a mild form of protest against our government. So my question is, what about folks like me and a lot of us out in the audience? We're Bible-believing Christians, you know, our allegiance is to God and His Word first. And then those words that Jefferson wrote, he said, but when a long train of abuses. And when that happens, it is the right of the people to throw off that government. What about throwing off the government, and then our responsibility as Christians to submit to governing authorities? And that was the question. And I guess I would lay that question before you guys. The question is, where is the ruler of America today, to whom we are to submit? Does he reside in the White House? Are they to be found in the halls of Congress or the Supreme Court? Or how about all of these new czars that seem to be multiplying themselves all around Washington that we haven't even elected? Are those people our rulers? In fact, right back after the inauguration, I heard a message or a sermon, and the gentleman that gave the sermon basically said, look, the election did not turn out the way most of us would have preferred, but we're Christian people. Our duty is to submit to our new rulers and pray for them. Now, I agree with the pray for part, but I take issue with the ruler part. Has any president ever been the ruler of America? No. You guys know where the ruler of America resides?
People!
The ruler of America resides in an airtight case. It's 4 pages long, 4,400 words. It's to be found in the National Archives. It is the oldest and shortest handwritten constitution of any nation on earth. It is the U.S. Constitution. And in my humble opinion, the authority to which we are subject as Christian people is not our Congress, not the President, never has been. It is the U.S. Constitution. That is to whom we owe our allegiance. Now, by the way, I find it interesting that our president says that he feels constrained by the Constitution. I hope he feels constrained by it. He needs to continue to feel constrained by it. By the way, at the Tea Party, we were handing out copies of the Constitution Declaration, and we ran out, actually, and it was kind of interesting to see the reactions. A lot of people asked for them. Some people refused. We don't believe in your cause, they said. Well, I think the Constitution is every American's cause. And I don't know if you guys realize, but it is being violated big time today. Did you know that every school employee in the state of Michigan has their Fourth Amendment rights grossly violated? I had that happen to me this year. My wife also, who substitute teaches at Freedom. Do you know what the Fourth Amendment says and how our rights there were violated? If you don't, perhaps you should read and then ask a teacher about getting fingerprinted. How about the 10th Amendment? You know what the 10th Amendment says? And you know, the TARP bill or the stimulus or whatever they call it, that violated in some ways the 10th Amendment and caused a wave of 10th Amendment support to sweep through our states. Over 21 states, I think, put forth legislation to support and affirm the 10th Amendment. Do we even know what our Constitution says? So I would recommend, go home, read the Constitution, at least read the 10 amendments and know what they are. Do you know which amendment supports and protects all the others, upon which all the others hang? You should know that. It's the Second Amendment. And so any elected official that we send to Lansing or to Washington, D.C., we need to hold their fire to the feet of that document and not tolerate a usurpation of its authority and a violation of their oath. They all take an oath to uphold and defend it. Every military officer does. All law enforcement officials do. We need to hold them to their oaths. And one last word. Reference was made to the cap and trade bill that was just voted on in the federal House. That's coming up in the Senate, you know. And word on the street is that the two senators from Michigan are going to be key to the passage or defeat of that bill. We need to melt down Stabenow and Levin's phones and emails starting on Monday. They need to hear from us. One guy on the street said, he said to me, what can we do? Well, that's one thing you can do. As peace-loving Americans, we're not here to, do any violence or anything. We're here to peacefully protest, but we have a right under the Constitution to hold our elected officials accountable, and they need to hear from us. So starting on Monday, they need to hear from you. Thank you very much.